Oh, for God's sake.
Oh, for God's sake.
Put it back together then, that's fine.
So he's at the ball with no mask on, and he bumps into Selena, and they have a nice dance and all the rest of it. You can tell she's proper losing the plot by this point, and she's like, she kind of is talking to him and says, like, what are you really here for? Why did you come? And Bruce said, well, I came for you. And she said, well, sadly, I came for Max. And he was like, what, you and Max? She's like, no, this and Max, and pulls out a gun. And so he spends the whole time trying to persuade her, like, you don't need to kill your boss, you need to just relax. She then kisses him and then looks up, and they're kissing under mistletoe again. And she says his line, oh, we're kissing under mistletoe. A mistletoe can be deadly if you eat it. And then he says, but a kiss can be even deadlier if
and it dawns on it.
And then they both just hold each other really tight, and they just say, like, are we supposed to be fighting now? And he's like, I don't know. And he's like, come on, let's get out of here. And as they walk off the dance floor, in brilliant timing, bang, Penguin blows up the bottom of the dance floor and comes up through the floor and demands that he wants Chip, because Chip is the firstborn son of Gotham. In Max, isn't he? For Max.
And then Max, as we mentioned earlier, you get the feeling that he loves his son. He convinces Penguin to take him. He's like, he's all like, take me, don't take my son.
He did it.
It's not the best one, but yeah. I'm the one that messed with your legacy. He takes him, and he takes him instead of his son, who again looks thick as pig rubbish when he's sort of like, So
he's now kidnapped Max, and meanwhile the whole of Gotham sons are being kidnapped throughout, because everybody's at the party, so all the goons are going around stealing all the kids while this is happening and put them in the cage. It's very much Chitty Chitty Bang Bang feeling.
It's a mixture of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and the Pied Piper.
Yeah, it's a bit spooky. I don't like it. So all that is going on. Takes Chip, but then all that's happened, and miraculously, Batman. So now Bruce Wayne has to run off and be Batman. Selina Kyle gets off and runs off and gets dressed into Catwoman.
Which I love, but every fight, her Catwoman outfit gets more raggedy.
Yeah,
she's
gets more
having to fix it herself, which is hilarious.
And Batman then sends a memo to Penguin in the sewer, like, this is like going on a little bit now, saying, I regret to inform you that the children are unable to attend. So he loses his absolute rag now and straps a load of rockets to all his little penguin friends, which I think is quite mean, and turning his penguins into suicide bombers.
That's not very nice, is it?
And sends them out to Gotham to blow everybody up and says, like, we'll just kill everybody then.
Yeah, and just a quick mention for this is one of his minions, the Penguin's minions, is actually the guy from Ghost, who is the guy, get off the train! That guy. And I just wanted to make a quick mention because I didn't know he was in anything else other than that.
And this poor clown doesn't really want to be part of it all, and he shoots him, and you go, well, I think that's really sad. And then somehow there's a gun is underwater as well in that scene. That's from the clown. That's from that clown. The gun falls out of the clown's pocket and it's all under the ground. So Batman uses his Batmobile, which is then turned into a Batboat. Yeah. Batboat, and travels through the sewers to try and find the Penguin and the rockets. So as all the penguins gather in the middle of Gotham, Alfred interrupts the frequency, so it makes them all turn round to head back towards the zoo. And then meanwhile, Batman crashes into this all the way through. The Penguin has this like duck that can like a duckmobile. So he crashes into the duckmobile, and they have like it's quite an epic fight considering Danny DeVito's like 2 foot tall.
Yeah, kind of. He's very scrappy and scratchy.
Scrappy fight, and he's got like an umbrella as a sword, and he grabs the detonator off of Batman's belt, thinking, "Oh well, I got it, and I'll just kill you because all of these penguins are around me now, and I'll kill you and myself." So he presses it, the rockets go off, but then that sends a load of bats straight into Penguin's face, and he falls through a glass roof and straight into the sewer, and that's all you see. Meanwhile, Max is trying to escape out of his cage, which is in the sewer.
And then you get Catwoman, who then shows up, and he's then still somehow, even though half of her mask is missing,
he still doesn't
twig. He's so self-obsessed. He still doesn't get it. He's trying to get it. If you want anything, I can get it for you now. Not a problem. And all that. And then all of a sudden, she then reveals that. No, sorry, we missed a bit. So Batman is trying to convince her that she doesn't need to kill her boss, and and makes a comment about hiding behind masks. So Batman then peels his mask off.
I get so sad about that. He breaks all the rubber.
He's got more than one though.
I know, but it weirds me out. He's broke it.
Well, it's the gesture, isn't it? So he does that, and then to prove to Selina, that we are more than these people. And we don't need to be like this. She then twigs that. Did she take her mask off? I don't know.
Yeah, she takes her mask off.
And he then finally figures out that it's Selina, and then
and
looks at Batman and goes, "Bruce Wayne, why are you dressed as Batman?"
Yeah,
because he is Batman,
you moron.
And then you get, he's trying to convince her that basically they can go away and live together and be happily ever after. And she says, that's not going to happen. He's tried shooting her 4 times. Max, this is at this point. She's counting down her lives, and I think she's at 7 at this point.
All girls go to heaven.
And then she decides unfortunately that she'd love to go and live with him, but it's just not the way it's going to be.
No.
And she then French kisses him with an electric pipe.
Max,
and then that kills him. Really like good cinematography here, and the way that it's shot is good, and it looks really, really like real for the time.
Yeah.
It's very good. Then and it causes a massive explosion. Batman hits the deck. He then goes and looks for Max, and he's all crispy and gross. And then you get the Penguin, who starts to come back out of the water, looking all bloody and gross, and it doesn't. I thought I couldn't remember him coming back, and I remember thinking, I don't remember this bit. Does he have like another fight? No, pretty much no.
He just has a chat about water.
Yeah, he comes out, he talks rubbish, saying I feel really warm. I just need a good glass of cold water, and then dies. Just dies.
And the penguins take him back into the water.
They do. They drag a fallen leader back into the sea, into the water, and that's the end of them. So he then searches for Catwoman and can't find her, and he then is back in his car as Bruce Wayne, and you see like a figure,
so it's like
shadow.
Christmas Day now. This Christmas Day night.
It's the shadow of the of almost the cat. So he kind of goes into this alley and sort of tries to look for her and can't find her. And then her cat from the first scene where you see her in the apartment comes up to Bruce and is all lonely and sad, and he picks her cat up and takes her home with her. Yeah,
and he gets into the car, and he's like, drive on, Alfred, carry on. Alfred goes, Merry Christmas, sir, and everything, and he just turns around and goes, yeah, Merry Christmas, Alfred.
To all good men.
And goodwill to all men and women. And then the cameras pan right out to the rooftops. You go all the way through, and then you see a silhouette of obviously the bat signal. And then all of a sudden, Catwoman's head just pops up, and then it's the credits.
Yeah, and we'll talk about this a bit in a moment. But that's the perfect way to end that film for me. It's a brilliant DC film. It's Tim Burton at his best before he married what's her name and put her in every single film he made. Altogether, just to rate the film before we move on to the next part, I thought the character development is brilliant. The bad guys are bad for a reason. They're hateable, they're detestable. But then you've also got Penguin that's got an underline of likeableness about him because he was dumped. You've got Catwoman who's the definition of an anti-hero in this film in terms of she's the bad guy, but she's got 100% genuine means, and she's actually all that she does. You can understand why she's doing it. So that's the most important part of any film. I feel is when you've got a good guy versus a bad guy. You have to hate the bad guy, and you have to like the hero and want him to succeed. And I feel you get that in this film.
No, definitely. So, Specs rating?
We haven't actually discussed this. So I think we'll just go, what would you say and what would I say, and then we'll come up with an average.
Well, it's hard really, because the nostalgia takes over for this with us, doesn't it? Because we grew up on these films. I think
the best way to do it is to compare it to the modern DC films, saying, so what you would give the new ones, and compare it to that. Well, can't compare special effects because it's not the same in terms of the film and the quality of film. So for me, if I was comparing this to a modern day DC film, it's getting 9.5 specs for me. Yeah, I
was just about to say, get out of my head. Yeah, I was about to say about 9.5 specs really for me, because if I'm honest, I quite like Anne Hathaway. I'm not mocking her as an actress, but she just isn't a Catwoman to me.
And the less said about Halle Berry, the better.
Oh my Christ, yeah, I wasn't even going to mention it, but you did. And I love Halle Berry. I think she's absolutely beautiful and gorgeous and amazing, but my Christ, she murdered that role. So, yeah, like, this is Catwoman. They haven't yet done Catwoman properly for me. So, yeah, up there.
And the only reason for me that this doesn't get a 9.5, it doesn't get a 10, is because of the sadness that the original plan for making the third one in the Tim Burton trilogy didn't happen. The original plan, I don't know whether Catwoman would have been in it again, but in the first one, of course, you're introduced to Harvey Dent, who's played by Billy D. Williams, or Lando Calrissian from Star Wars, for anyone who doesn't know who that is, who was originally supposed to play Two-Face in the third version of this, which never happened. And again, I don't know whether that's down to Michael Keaton or what it was. I probably imagine it is down to Michael Keaton doing other commitments. But yeah, it's a shame, and that's the only reason I don't grade this a 10, because it's almost... This film's fine, but then you kind of go...
You could tell it was a sequel, and you could tell that it was going to be part of a trilogy.
Yeah, and that's the only thing that I would say about this is sad.
Yeah.
And again, later on in this discussion, I'll kind of discuss why that is a bad side to a film.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do now is we've now gone through the film and we talked about that in good depth. Yeah. We're going to do the rise and fall of the DCU. So this film, for me, Batman Returns, is at the height of good DC films. It goes through peaks and troughs. It goes through good times and it goes through bad times. And what we're going to discuss is why we feel that DC films the quality is diminished. On face of it, because we're going on reviews and we're going on, IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, this kind of stuff. Yeah. We're not going on personal opinion. So some people might love the new DC films, and if that is the case, then brilliant. That's what they're made for. They're fantastic. But this is going on a general consensus. Yeah. DC films haven't hit the heights of their past ones, or even the ones of the mid-2000s. So we'll go through the Batmans in a moment. So you've got the Batman. So if you go through them individually, and we will then go through it.
So, as you all very well know, you've got the cult status, now that they are, the DC films. So cult status is Batman, which was 1989, special Jack Nicholson's Joker, followed by Batman's Returns, which we've done today, which is 1992. These are both Warner Brothers and Tim Burton's creation and direction. Then, here we go. Then you got...
There's a trough.
Okay. Then you got Batman Forever, which is the Two-Face and the Riddler. And then I think you've got the flop that was Batman and Robin.
Yeah, and the negative side to that film...
Schumacher, wasn't it? Schumacher.
Yeah, that's correct, Joel Schumacher. But the problem you have is that Tim Burton, for some reason, produced Batman Forever, but didn't direct it. No idea why. So bad.
Pennies.
We'll go bad films.
Yeah,
those two.
So those were not too great. So there was a real big gap, and then you've got the trilogy that we all know and love. So the Christopher Nolan trilogy with Christian Bale as Batman. So Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises, which we're all very, very aware of. If I'm honest, I'm a huge fan of these three. I was chuffed when these three come out, because I was like, this is exactly what I look at as DC to be. Even though Christian Bale has to do this all the way through being Batman.
He's the best Batman, not the best Bruce Wayne. But he's a brilliant Batman.
Yeah, and it was dark. It was very, very dark. And the fact that he went, branding people and things, didn't he? And stuff, that I thought was brilliant. So then that happened, and then now, you've now got, 2013, they then released Man of Steel. 2016 was Batman vs Superman. And in the same year, they then did Suicide Squad. 2017, you had Wonder Woman and Justice League. And scheduled, so upcoming, I'm actually quite excited about this, but it's more because I have a massive crush on him. You've got Aquaman this year. 2019, we're due Shazam and Wonder Woman 1984. And then they're going to do Cyborg, Green Lantern Corps. It's going to be green and animated. The Flash. So all those three will be in 2020.
Yeah, and so there's a lot coming up in terms of DC, and there's a lot for them to do in order to in my opinion, to save the franchise. And so what we're going to talk about is just sort of why we think it's gone a bit downhill, and also what can happen to sort of what they could do maybe to sort of try and revitalise the whole thing. So my opinion on this, and I've come up with this theory, is that DC films have not been the same since 2008. And the reason I say 2008, that's the year that The Dark Knight came out. Now, The Dark Knight Rises is still a brilliant film. It's a very good DC film. It's not as good as The Dark Knight, but then with Heath Ledger as the Joker, it's going to be pretty difficult to beat that. As we said earlier, the bad guy makes these films. Yeah. Since then, there's only been one DC film that I would say was good, and that's Wonder Woman.
Yes.
And the reason Wonder Woman was a good film is because that was almost a standalone film by itself.
Yeah.